Hey everyone, this is episode 119 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. OSG, the mouse tracker, is still on his way into the studio, but here with me for now, it's our guest for the night, Mark Segovia from The Surge. How's it going, sir?
What's going on, Andres? Thank you for the invite.
No, yeah, man, there's a lot of emotions. I'm sure whenever OSG just comes battering in over here, it's going to be in full display, but of course, we're coming out of the playoffs for Dynamo, which there's plenty a lot to talk about, and we're also going to be covering the dash at some point soon. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and focus on the Dynamo playoffs, man. But just before we start, Mark, I know that you are part of the search, just like we are, but just the emotions for like the past couple months. It's of course it's been like a critical position, just trying to get to, of course, clinching playoffs and trying to get a better seed decision day, and of course the playoffs now. Like, have you been attending all these games? And if so, like, how was the emotion from the stands?
I was at the playoff game. I haven't been attending personally. All the games I've been watch. I've watched all the games. I've been there watching all the games. I haven't attended all the games, unfortunately, because of life. Um, but
Of
um,
course.
but I was at the playoff game. Great atmosphere. Like you said, unfortunately, it didn't come out our way. But obviously, watching all the games. The last couple of months, obviously with positioning available once we clinched the playoff spot, it was all about positioning, right? Wanting to get that home field advantage, seeing whether or not we can get a top four spot or maybe even climb to number two, and then obviously all the dramatics of decision day where Daniel Stairs scores that header in the 99th minute
Yeah.
to basically knock off Galaxy off of first place. And then then to see what happens after that. They're eliminated from the playoffs now. So a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff that happened throughout the last couple of months, and the ups and downs of a Dynamo season. It's good. It's not for the light of fate.
Yeah, and life was also on the way for me for a good chunk of the games, particularly this year. As much as I wanted to be at least to more than one game per month, me living in Austin and all that, but yeah, thankfully I've been able to make it to decision day as media, and also for the two games against Seattle. Well, the game against Seattle
Mhm.
from yesterday, and I really just to highlight the fact that this team, like, this has been an historic season for the Dynamo,
For sure.
and it's just insane to think about how much they accomplished. The couple records that just stood up to me was the fact that they got the most road wins in a single season
And the
ever,
most
and
broke
also
point.
and the total point count for the season as well, which is 54. We've never had that many points before, which is just unthinkable considering the teams we had, particularly when we started in Houston.
Mhm.
It's just incredible, and it goes to show them just the work this team has been putting on. Of course, Ben Olsen and the staff and the front office, like for like the past 4 years now, 3 years you could say with Ben Olsen. But well, yeah, just incredible all around. Just congratulations for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Ben Olsen era has been nothing but positive. I mean, obviously, after the whole Nagamara and Ramos and the end of the Wilmer era and all that stuff, you have nothing but positive things to say. I mean, back to back playoff bursts. Obviously, the U.S. Open Cup that we lifted last season, signing a player of the caliber of a Hector Herrera as a like our true legit first DP. And then obviously everything that came afterwards. I mean, and then during that Olsen era, I mean, it's been nothing but great. I can't complain, obviously, because obviously I've been a Dynamo fan since '06, since when they first came in. We had the greatness of those Dynamo led teams by Ching and Davis and all those guys winning championships right off the bat, and then to have the drought that we had for almost a decade. It's great to see the Dynamo back where they truly belong amongst the upper echelon of MLS, or at least heading that way.
And we're in a good direction. But that's the topic we're gonna talk about after we go through the game.
Hmm.
Because for now we're just gonna focus on the second leg. or game 2 of the best of 3 series in the first round of playoffs. Houston back home, we tied the game 1-1 with a lot of things to talk about in the middle of that, but losing the penalty shootout eventually by, I believe we got 6 or 7 tries if I'm not mistaken, but
I think we lost seven
we
six. Yeah.
yeah we lost the last shot unfortunately, but yeah, just to I guess start with the game. Of course, there's been a lot of discussion with the fact that we're gonna be playing without Coco in game 2.
Mhm.
The condition for Hector Herrera heading into this one, because we're still not sure if he's going to play full 90, if he's going to get subbed up for broken reins again, and of course having Escobar back is going to work wonders for the team, particularly because experience and all that, as we all know. But we're heading into this game. What were your thoughts heading, like just facing against a tough Seattle Sounders team that's, like, for me, has been able to figure us out when at home or away? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously, anytime you come up against Seattle Sounders, those guys, they have experience on top of experience on top of experience, and a lot of big games. And them, alongside their coach, I mean, have been through the biggest games on this side of the pond as possible. Obviously, them winning the CONCACAF Champions League, winning numerous U.S. Open Cups, and winning multiple MLS Cups, right? So those guys know what it takes to win and what they need to do to win on the road, and obviously at home. But obviously, like I said, when I mentioned the Ben Olsen era, it's been a complete 360, and this season obviously was a complete difference, and the fact that we're a much more different team on the road. We have that all against everybody against us mentality, where we wanted to go out there and really fight for those role points. Excuse me. And the Coco red card, unfortunately, in Seattle was an unfortunate thing. I think obviously it's frustration and just not understanding the circumstances of what you put your team in when you go down 10 men. And it's an unfortunate event that happened with him, and and obviously he was a key component that we were missing in this game at home. But obviously you build the depth on the bench for things like this, and I think Kowalski had the opportunity, and he's shown throughout the season that he is capable of having starter minutes and actually making an impact on the field with starter minutes.
No, yeah, and Kovacic in particular, like, he was ready for this role, and
Hmm.
he all the fans of Noodle Time, just listening to Foxtrot TV or watching Foxtrot TV, they voted him as the most improved player on the team, and rightfully so. Like, he's been showing tremendous growth compared to last year, and he's
Hmm.
just been a utility player, like, in the midfield for us when we needed him the most. So
For sure.
it start, of course, well earned, not just because Coco was suspended out of that red card our frustration, which we're gonna circle back to that when we talk about the second half. But yeah, like, it's this team. The one thing I can say about this lineup and the first half is the fact that they played very well,
Hmm.
and it was just a matter of bad luck that we were not able to score here, because, like, obviously in the second half of the year, we've been noticing that this team has been shooting a little bit more, but missing the
Hmm.
frame. But in this game, like, without Coco, they've been able to capitalize on opportunities on top of opportunities, and just having the game at almost on a stranglehold. If it wasn't for Seattle trying to break on the wings and try to find those opportunities to catch Houston flat-footed. But
For sure.
what do you think? What do you think of the first half?
The first half, to be honest, I think it was it was trying to fill each other out again, trying to see who made the first mistake. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can be said about the refereeing in the first half, and how a ref wants to take kind of control of the game, or let loose or lose control of the game at that time period. Because I know sometimes it's kind of a taboo to give players yellows too early in the game, and there were certain situations, especially on the Seattle side, where I thought, yeah, given the length of the game and how early it is, I can see why they didn't get the yellow cards, but were they deserving? Yes. But regardless of that, we can't allow ourselves to get discombobulated when the call doesn't go our way, and we have to continue pressing and pushing, especially at home. Like I said, this year's been kind of a reverse because we've been so great on the road, and we've been kind of lackluster at home as far as points go. And but obviously you still want to play in front of your fans, especially in the big games, because because the fans are the ones who are going to push you when you're tired and your legs are heavy, and they're going to cheer you on and help you move on and keep going. Because you obviously want to do it for the thousands of people who came over to come cheer for you. But but that being said, the first half, a couple opportunities missed. But all in all, a pretty even game. Not nothing too crazy.
It wasn't crazy at all, and for me, I was mostly just worried about a couple of chances in particular that went for Seattle. Like it was like if it wasn't at the wrong place at the wrong time, it was going to be a goal. Especially
Mhm.
that opportunity that Clark was about to get chipped on, but it just
Mhm.
went, I think, over. But still, Seattle was just being Seattle and just trying to, like you said, and I was expecting that the fact that they were just trying
Hmm.
to either just make Houston like mess up or just try to
Mhm.
frustrate them, because I feel like it always works for them regardless of
Yeah,
where they are.
I mean that's the advantage of winning the first game. Obviously, them knowing that they have a home game in their back pocket. If we go to game three, they know that they don't have to be as aggressive and be and do something that's not necessary. They can sit back and wait for the Dynamo to make a mistake, go on the counter, or do whatever they need to do. I mean, the goal that Rodon scored. I mean, it was a mistake. Somebody got caught off, and then they Rodon had the open shot. And that was really the one big mistake aside from obviously the Herrera red card. But I mean, but other than that, I think the Dynamo played a really good game. It just is an unfortunate thing that they were down to 10 men, and then obviously they couldn't really take advantage as far as like scoring and putting the ball in the back of the net. I think the last couple of games, aside from the St. Louis game, the Dynamo have really done a really good job at putting the ball on the back of the net. I think the fact that Ponce has finally kind of acclimated himself to the team, and they kind of used to where he's going to be at in his movements, has really lifted the level as far as the goal scoring has gone. But unfortunately, these two games, again, going against a club that's been there, done that numerous amount of times, and have an understanding of how to play these games, it made it tough. It made it tough on us. I mean, we're a possession based team, and we're gonna always have the possession battle won. And I think in this match, I think we were at 55-45, something like that, around that, if I'm not mistaken. And still, even with all that possession, being with 10 guys, we couldn't create, until we were just forced to do so after Rodon scored that goal to try to get the eventual game tying goal that took us to penalties.
No, yeah, and I think it's time to also talk about the red card because we'll move on from the
Mhm.
first half scoreless, and
For sure.
things was kind of stay more the same heading into like after 15 minutes up until the incident at the 65th minute.
Hmm.
That was when Hector Herrera tackled the player and he was issued a yellow. And apparently, after the referee issued that call, I didn't see it from the stands. I thought that he was gonna go to the check VAR for the severity of the foul,
Hmm.
and he got upgraded to a red card. And I had to go back to check it out, and apparently it was because
He
Hector
spit on it.
Herrera spat on the referee,
Mhm.
and I'm like, it's no way, because I had to see a clip like in real
Yeah.
time to actually believe it, and yeah, he spits on the referee like pretty close to him, like he doesn't even make the attempt to like spit somewhere else,
Yeah.
not his proximity. And this is for me the most upsetting part of the game
Mhm.
because this team put a lot of work all over, and they for the second game in a row at the
Mhm.
66th minute they get their down a player, and it's like you. you see this incident, the past incident with Coco and this one with Hector Herrera, you have to wonder where the discipline is, because we are in a critical position. Like both games, you pretty
Mhm.
much have to think this is the season right here. And game two, of course, if you lose, the season's over. Hector Herrera, like as a captain here, as uh, the role player that all the players are looking at, he can absolutely cannot do this. Like he absolutely has to be the better person, and this is the lowest of the low I've seen with the Dynamo. Like he is the type of player, of course, last year being the MVP and just being a massive improvement overall from his first year with the team. He cannot do this, man. Like I was extremely disappointed at Chach after that.
Yeah. No, and before I get into the whole Achacha thing, I'll relate to you what I saw when I was watching it live at the stadium.
Yeah,
Obviously, I watched the tackle, I'm looking at the whole thing, and I see Achacha stand up, and then him, I see him spit, but you think of it as, oh, he spit, on the floor, and so players have to spit sometimes, whatever. I didn't pay that much mind to it until my friend who came with me, he said, "Hey, I think he spit on the ref." And I was like, "No, I'm like, there's no way." And I'm like, "No, there's no way." I mean, I'm like, whatever. And then when they were gonna go to VAR, I was like, no, there's no way they're reviewing this as far as like, trying to upgrade it to a red, because the tackle wasn't that egregious, right? I'm just saying, I'm in the same boat as you. The tackle wasn't that egregious. It was a tactical foul, whatever, frustration foul, whatever. This and that. The yellow card is warranted. Fine. There's no way it can be upgraded to a red. And then when I saw the red card, I was like, what? And then my friend is like, no, he spat on the referee. And that's when I started hearing about the spit on the referee, this and that. And I was like, man, that's so sorry that he got to a point where he got so frustrated, and so just kind of topsy turvy to the point where he did something like that, especially him being our captain. You know, you have a certain responsibility when you wear that captain's armband, and you have a certain responsibility not only to yourself but to the players that you lead, and to the fan base. You're at home, and for you to do that, it's disappointing. And for that to be the ending narrative of this season, it sucks, because the Dynamo had a great season. Like I said, record amount of points in a season, record amount of points on the road, all these great things to build off for the next season, and for it to end on a spit on the heel of a ref. It's a sorry sour taste that we're gonna have in our mouths until February, March, when the next season begins. And but like I said, am I disappointed? Highly, highly, I am, especially because he's our captain. You know, um, for it to happen back to back games, especially for two of our top three players on the team, for it to be Coco and Hector, it's such a disappointment, and it goes back to discipline. Like, obviously I know like the rest of the squad is disciplined, but I mean, is there no accountability for our top end players? Is that where I'm getting to? Where, like, maybe they play under a different umbrella. I'm not saying that they should get special treatment or anything like that because of their status or their stature in the club. But if you're going to be our captain and co-captains, and you're going to be two of our top players on the team, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard, and can't allow things like that to determine the outcome for your club, especially for a club that's worked so hard all season to get to that point.
and a question we can definitely expand a little bit over after we talk about the game is all the players that want to stay with the team, if they're actually going to set themselves a standard, like you said, like they're going to lead by
Mhm.
example, or are you just going to become a liability and just going to be a question mark for the rest of 2025? Because
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that we can talk about a little bit later. But
Okay.
a lot of fans were frustrated like after that. Like I said, two
Yeah.
straight red cards in the middle of playoffs in
Yeah.
games you have to win, and no, not ideal.
See, and the thing here is the fact of the matter is, you can get away with stuff like that during the regular season because obviously the regular season is 36, 34, 36 games or whatnot. But playoffs are do or die. One mess up, one trip up, and that's it. That could be your season. And like I said, the fortunate thing for this Dynamo club, and I'll give the rest of the players and the club a round of applause, is their ability and their willingness to still go out there and try to do something and avenge these guys who got red cards, because you saw it after the Coco red card in the first game. Those guys, man, dude, I thought extra time was never gonna end. We knew that we were trying to get to penalties. We're trying to get to penalties because at least it gives us a chance. Because we've never won in Seattle. And to do it with 10 men, I mean, the odds were way against us. So I mean, our best opportunity was to get to penalties. We got it to penalties. Unfortunately, Eric missed that PK. But round of applause to the guys for fighting hard to even get to that level, right? To get to that stage and give themselves an opportunity to steal game one. And then, like you said, earlier, for it to happen again, and then this time with your captain, and at home when you have all the momentum, you have 20,000 fans cheering you on, go Dynamo, go, and all the great atmosphere that we had at Shell last night. I mean, the atmosphere isn't always there like it needs to be. But last night it was there, and we were there, and everybody was there supporting, cheering, having their orange or purple on, and for it to happen, and then like that, it really sucks, man. And but you know, obviously I seen a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking afterwards. People talking about whether or not Achacha should come back, or or things of that nature and all that stuff. And I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that later on. But it's just it's people with an emotional high, because there's a lot of fans out there that are so emotionally invested in this club, because they want to support local soccer. They want to support their local team. Obviously we see all the different jerseys out there. I think I saw Madrid and Barcelona jerseys out there, whatever this and that. But more and more, you start seeing less and less of those jerseys and more of Dynamo jerseys. People are investing money into this club and wanting to support it. And for it to end like that, it's a real disappointment.
No, and fans are smart. They see the investment, they see the
Hmm.
progress. The
Yeah.
team just pulled a historic regular season, and the best takeaway you can take from game two is the fact that just like game one, they didn't quit with 10 players, man. They didn't quit. Of course, Seattle got the first goal at the 85th minute, I believe it was, and 87th minute. Sorry, 87th minute. And of course, it's like that late on after holding on defensively, especially with 10 players. It can definitely hurt you a lot.
Hmm.
And from there on, like I believe they added 8 more minutes of stoppage time,
Yeah.
and from there, of course, we still had a game. And it was just a matter of Houston still pushing in over and over, and
Hmm.
they got the goal, man. It was an own goal, but
Yeah.
they like Dorsey pushed it in. Like I thought Sebas Ferreira scored that because after coming off the bench, but they didn't quit and they
I
forced
think
it.
it was an own goal for Rodan, but like
Yeah, it
but with
was.
that being said, you know, after the goal that Seattle scored, there was that minute where the stadium, the air fell flat, and it was just like, oh
Yep.
man, like damn. But then obviously we're like, man, you know what? We still got time. Obviously you saw Ben. He went to the bench. He brought in everybody. He said, we don't. What do we need defense for? Brought in Sebas. Brought in Tate. Brought in I think Blessing came in, if I'm not mistaken, or somebody else came in. I can't remember who it was. And just said, hey, just push on, push on, push on. And once we got that first corner, the crowd started getting back into it and started seeing that they were more aggressive, going towards the goal, and we just needed to score. And there was a couple times before that own goal where we could have scored, and the crowd was into it and they were pushing them on, and like I said, that type of atmosphere, when you see that, it's it lifts players, man. It gives them that extra umph they need to go out there and hopefully try to get the game time going. And in this case, they got it. And the excitement, the eruption, the whole stadium was just fantastic, man. I was there live, and it was just crazy, and people were just like, oh man, we're gonna pull this off. We're gonna pull this off. They have that feeling and that hope in their systems again, and that's what you want to see as a fan base. That there's that passion, that hope, that desire to want to see your club continue on and eventually lift up a trophy.
And Dorsey and Ponce said it best, like when media was a post game in the press conference and in the mix zone, because they straight up said, like, the fans essentially gave us the juice we needed, because like just being exhausted at that point with 10 players, having to work overtime, like you don't like having that morale boost from the fans being behind you, and of course celebrating with you after scoring that goal at stoppage time to tie the game with 10 players. It has to be an incredible feeling, but the players felt that, and the support just keeps growing.
Yeah, for sure.
As when fans just see the progress, like, if you build it, they will come. Like, it's a cheesy quote, but it's true. Like, people are gonna see the progress, and they're just gonna keep being invested in that.
And one last thing. I mean, you got to think about the last 3 games that they played. I mean, obviously the two playoff games they play over 60 minutes with just 10 guys. And then the last game of the season where they're playing 100 minutes against LA Galaxy, with realistically they have nothing to play for because they were already locked into the 5th spot, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But they go out there and they mess up LA Galaxy's whole parade or whatever, and then and then to go into the playoffs and play over an hour with 10 men down, it just shows the grit that this club has, this team has now. Where before it would be like, oh, once we go down 10 guys, it's a goal fest for the team. They're going to score 3 or 4 goals on us now, and that's what it is now. This team now has that grit and that desire to make sure that they represent the club and the crest that they wear to the utmost respect, and that they're going to go out there and put their all into it until that whistle blows.
No, yeah, and the game we just end 1-1 after regulation, and then we'll go straight to penalty kicks again.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, it's like, I hate penalties only because it's a coin flip, man. It's a coin flip, regardless of how much you train. Like, you still have a crowd to face, and just being home or away, like, it can go either way.
Yeah, I feel the same thing about penalties. Obviously the enthusiasm and the ecstasy about penalties, it's always going to be there, because obviously that there's going to be a bona fide winner and a bona fide loser at the end. But when you say it's a coin toss, unfortunately for me in this case, I feel like that's not necessarily true. Because not to be negative out here, and obviously I don't like to play money quarterback, but I think that having Clark out there again, especially the way he looked the first game, was, we needed to go somewhere else. We whether that was to sub in Tarbo, and I understand that Olsen wants to go with the guys that brought him there, and he wants to continue using the people who eventually basically got him there, right? But you owe it to the club, to the fan base, and to the staff and everybody around you to make sure that you have the best person and they're in position to do what they need to do in that certain situation. And with all due respect to Steve Clark, because Steve Clark has been amazing for us since he's been here, and he's been part of the turnaround from what we used to be to what we are now. So I don't want to sound like I'm throwing shade at Steve Clark at all, or disrespecting the man, because he's done a phenomenal job for us as a keeper, and all that stuff. And I know the fan base and the supporters love Steve. But in that situation where I've seen Steve being penalties quite a bit, it's not his strong suit. I'm not saying that Tarbo would have done any better or would have done better, but who knows? The thing is, it would have been a different look, a different goalkeeper with a little bit more stature. Steve is a short goalkeeper. You can't necessarily get to balls quicker like Tarbo can because of his height. it could have been a different look. But that's all I'm saying on as far as that goes.
And the arguments there in between Steve Clark and Andrew Tarbell, because we've been able to see Andrew Tarbell in penalty shootouts, and for the most part, he's been successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely understand the frustration with fans when it comes to like having him or subbing him in over Steve Clark in a must-win situation like this one. And I can also understand Ben Olsen respecting like what he wants to do, but a lot of fans, I felt like they were mostly right after that shootout, because we've seen it again after, of course, game 1 and game 2. Like Steve Clark barely making it, or at least trying to make a stop. He almost got a stop in this shootout in the game 2. But he once got his hands.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that goes to the point as for, or like, not to say that Tarbell might have had a better angle on that shot that he could have stopped, but I mean he might have got to it sooner because he is 2 or 3 inches taller than him. It might have been able to hold on to the ball because he got there maybe a whole second earlier than Steve got to that ball. Obviously, these players are kicking this ball as hard as they can, for the most part, except for Rui Diaz, who's always trying to panenka everybody. But, they're kicking this ball as hard as they can, trying to just make sure this ball goes into the back of the net. So I understand that blocking penalties is a tough situation to be in, But like I said, I saw, 12 or 13 PKs from Seattle between 2 games, and one that maybe he got his hands on, and that's just not a good ratio, man. It's not a good ratio at all. And I seen Tarbell, if I can't remember what game it was, or if it was in the tournament game, where he saved us on penalties, and he does well. I mean, he might not be the best, but he definitely, from what I've seen, as opposed to what Clark has done, it's a noticeable upgrade. And if his specialty is that, sometimes you have a specialist that does better, than your regular starter, and you gotta use that specialist to your advantage if he's there for you.
And that's something to consider for next year, of course.
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to a busy offseason, since we're out of playoffs now, it's gonna be in the fans' radar for the next couple months, because it's gonna be a while until preseason starts. Over in January, I believe, late January. But yeah, man, off season's coming in. Of course, we're gonna try to do some very early predictions heading into it, but it's not gonna be a reset like we saw a couple years ago, because we have a plan in place. We have a structure that has been proven successful in this historic season. So we don't want to reset. What we need is some reinforcements.
We just need some new paint.
Yeah,
we don't need a foundation and all this stuff. We just need some new paint.
Yeah, and you gave us some good thoughts heading into that off season. So I want to hear your wish list first before I give you mine.
Yeah, so obviously, I've always been one to kind of like, after everything's done, to try to analyze what we need and what we lack in, because obviously, look, the Dynamo right now are, to me, honestly, are a player or two away from actually being an MLS title contender. Not just a playoff contender, not just regular playoff berths or whatever. I believe this club can actually lift an MLS Cup. With the proper player or two coming in, they can compete with the Columbus Crews. They can compete with the LAFCs. We unfortunately, because of the different different conference that we're in, we haven't really stacked ourselves against Inter Miami and the whole Messi gang and stuff like that. So we can't really dictate how that would go. But I mean, we've gone against Cincinnati. We've gone against New York City FC, all the top clubs in the Eastern Conference, and we've gone toe to toe with them. In the Ben Olsen era. So I feel like if we were able to take advantage and bring in a high quality player, in our attacking, and obviously maybe upgrade on the goalkeeper, and that, hey, we're right there. So this is kind of one of the things that I had written down in our Surge Discord that you obviously are a part of, and this is my I guess top 5 Dynamo offseason needs. Number one for me is an attack-minded creator. Obviously, I don't think we're gonna have a DP spot available with Sebastian Ferreira more than likely not coming back. So obviously, that's the perfect opportunity to use that DP spot to bring in a high quality player who can create, but can also score the ball. Imagine if we had a Luciano Acosta on this team, to bridge between HH and Ponce. How much more of a dynamic team we would be and how much more dangerous we would be, you know?
Yeah, the argument that I saw, and I completely agree with that, is something that we actually need heading to next year,
Mhm.
and something that I heard in arguments like after the game last night and a couple times already is Evander, man. Having Evander with that DP spot, like from Forlan, it could
I'm,
be it could be the same thing, but Lucho, you can never go wrong with Lucho. So
yeah, I
it's
mean,
either
look,
or.
I don't know what the situation with Portland and Vander's going on. I know there's a little dysfunction over there, but I mean, but if he was a player that you were able to get your hands on, who's already established in an MLS, you know, then just imagine him in between Herrera and Ponce, and being able to do what he does for Portland and doing it for us. It'll be an amazing get. My number two, sorry, my number two is like I said, new goalkeeper. Like I said, Steve. Thank you for everything that you've done. I mean, I think Steve will be 40 if I'm not mistaken next season. I think that we need to finally start moving to the direction of having somebody a little bit more athletic, a little bit more young, a little bit more lengthy. Whether we're ready to give that opportunity to Xavier Valdez and Dynamo 2, that's up to them. Obviously, I know that a lot of people have a lot of great things to say about the kid. Whether you think he can come in and be the backup, and while we bring in somebody with the experience, if they want to go that route, that's fine as well. But like I said, the club is moving into a higher direction. And with that being said, we need higher level quality players in each position. And we need to understand that even though we love Steve and for everything that he's done, if we're planning to move forward, we need to move forward with having higher quality players at each position. So, and goalkeeper is one of those positions where I feel that we need to upgrade on.
I
Number
completely
three,
agree, though.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, and I can expand a little bit on that after you go through your list, but it's something that we have to seriously consider now.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And like I said, no disrespect to Steve and Andrew, because I think both of them have been really great during the time periods that they played. Tarbo was the goalkeeper in the U.S. Open Cup tournament that we won. Clark has obviously been the goalkeeper during this whole time with the turnaround. And he's been doing really well, especially after Eric and Mikael and having the back four of Escobar and Dorsey back there. He's done really well with those guys, helping those guys be in great positions to not allow goals. I think we were tied for second least amount of goals scored on this season. So tied for second or third or something like that for the least amount of goals allowed. So I mean, that's a great feat. You know. Number three. Now this one obviously has a lot of question marks because a lot of players injured. But Inali, Kionis updates. Aliu, look, man. I hate to just this just to be just to dump crap on a player and stuff like that. But honestly, Aliu, he was our weakest component out of the whole season. That left side it was just so weak a lot of times. You know, my friend who came with me yesterday, they're like, why don't they attack on the left? They keep going on the right, with Dorsey and obviously Bassi and Kowalczyk on that side. They're like, yeah, because that's the side that we're stronger on. We can't go up. We can't press up with Escobar to Aliu because Aliu, unfortunately, loses the ball, isn't tactically, there where we need him to be, isn't technically where we need him to be at either. And then obviously he doesn't shoot the ball and he doesn't score and he doesn't cross at all either. So I mean, you have a winger who is all speed, but doesn't cross the ball good, doesn't pass the ball right. So it's an unfortunate thing, but I think I'm done with the Aliu. experiment. I think the fact that Inali was on the cusp of taking a spot before he tore his ACL in the LA. And then obviously Quiones, him having his injury from the beginning of the season when he was with the under 20s in Colombia. That was an unfortunate event as well. So I don't know when they're coming, when those other two are coming back. Nelson should be ready for the start of the season. Inali is probably going to be a little bit later on, maybe mid-season, but maybe we can find somebody and find somebody else to help hold it down until Inali gets back into full strength. But I don't think Aliu's the answer there.
No, yeah, that's something I'm gonna expand a little bit more because that was one of my bullet points when we go to death. But you can keep going because I know it's a lot.
Yeah. For number 4, Basi Kowalczyk's Blessing. I love all three. I love what they all bring. I love the Blessing, what he brought to the table. I love what Sebas brought into the table, and obviously what Basi does. But to me, honestly, all three are kind of the same player. I don't need all three. I just need two. So it's just one of those things where they're what do you call it? What's the saying? Something to requirement. But forget about it. But yeah, I just need two of those guys. And then number 5, and last but not least, is look, you gotta sell Coco. I mean, look, he's at his peak market right now that he's gonna get to. Whatever money you can get out from, I mean, obviously there's a lot of interest in Spain and other clubs in Europe and stuff like that. You have to make that. You have to get that deal across the line and make that happen. Not just for the club, but for him as well. Obviously, I know that he has aspirations to go back to Europe and play for first division club in Europe. And hey, you got to make that happen and then reinvest that money and give yourself the capabilities and flexibilities to bring in not only more higher TAM players, I guess, because I guess you'll have a higher TAM budget now that you sold them, but just being able to just build your roster now. And look, as much as I love Coco and everything that he's garnered and all the accolades that he's claimed, because I mean he has claimed some pretty big accolades these last couple of years. He does have his hot headedness, like what happened with Game 1 in Seattle. Let's not forget he did the same thing in the semifinal in the Copa de Oro with against the United States, which cost Panama the game. So I mean, you can't have that, man. And unfortunately, I think, well, not unfortunately, because fortunately it means that he's moving up and we're gonna get something back from him. But yeah, I think Coco needs to move on.
Yeah, and yeah, the Coco situation I want to expand on because it's one of my bullet points in the wish list. But just gonna go ahead and get started with mine
Go
because
ahead, man.
it's a lot of the same wavelength as yours. My priority list is a little bit different because it's only like 3 points in the wish list so far.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, of course, is sorting out the DP situation. And I'm 100% sure they're gonna have to solve the issue regarding Sebastian Ferreira because it's like he's not a DP. Like just the way that he's been utilized last year is gonna make it evident. He's like we can't have a Lamborghini product like on the bench, So we have to do something with that spot. And I'm confident that they're gonna have like a game changer coming in the off season. Yeah, it's a matter of time. Like you said earlier, like we are this close to being a contender, and this year we are a candidate just to like go all the way, almost if it wasn't for all the injuries. Because I feel like missing out on Nelson Quinones and Lawrence Denali, it's definitely set us back a lot. And a discussion without just being the issue with Aliyu, being afraid of 1v1s. We need a game changer, and I feel like sorting out the PC situation with a creator kind of like a Evander Lucho Acosta will go a long way for this team, and it's gonna get us to the next level, 100%. So the DP situation, that's my first bullet point here. The second bullet point I have is pretty much just trying to figure out the situation, or I like to call it make the call here, and it's a combination of almost everything you said when it comes to making a decision with all the players that we have,
Mm-hmm.
and of course one of those being Coco. We've been hearing the rumors all year long about like teams having interest but not having an offer on the table, so
Yeah.
they're gonna have to sort that out. And of course, having those players like leaving is gonna leave a lot. It's gonna clear out a lot of contract, or just like
Yeah.
pretty
And
much help the cap space situation, and just like bring some more new players. And like you said earlier, when it comes to being like a bigger, like more appealing team like Inter Miami, obviously we're not gonna go for the superstars. We're gonna go for players that fit our system. And I believe in the recruiting process, since it's been working wonders for us so far.
yeah, I mean, and as far as about the Coco thing, I just want to elaborate. I'm not saying you just sell him to sell him. I mean, you make sure that you get what you think is worth for him, right? But
Right, right, yeah.
but obviously, if you can't get everything up front, make sure there's a buyout clause or whatever. Like if he gets sold, a sell on clause if he gets sold on to a different team later on in his career or whatever. That way you get a little bit of money coming in. That way you don't have to you know sit there having a player that maybe is ready to move on. Now I'm not saying he doesn't enjoy his time here in Houston. He might enjoy his time in Houston. He might want to come back another year. That's fine and everything. Like I said, and I don't mind having him on the squad. I just need him to understand that he can't put himself in the situations that he's been putting himself in, because honestly, I feel that he should be giving us about 7 8 goals, 7 to 8 assists a year. The production just isn't there. I mean, the skill set and everything is there, but we're not getting the same quality Coco that Panama gets. We don't get it for the Dynamo. That's where I'm concerned with, and obviously his value and everything has shot up because of his experiences in the games he's had with Panama for the Gold Cup and the Copa America this past year. But I mean, you got to take advantage of that, because obviously we're not getting that level of Coco on the Dynamo. So
And it's something to consider, because I like to have Coco back, but after the way the season ended, and it's obviously there's a lot of question marks when it comes to, are you gonna be a player? Are you gonna be a liability again? But I believe he can improve, and
and you can't be
he's gonna
scared
have
to
to make the
upgrade.
call for that.
And you can't be
Yeah.
scared to upgrade, because I mean,
Yep.
who knows? Once you sell Coco, that opens up a spot in the midfield. Who, like I said, if an Evander type of player came available to you, then obviously that's a nice upgrade over Coco.
Oh yeah, and it kind of goes with the last thing like on my wish list so far, which is just the death situation, and it's looking very good for us, because we do have Ernesto Quinones. I'm sure he's gonna be back by preseason.
Mhm.
Lawrence Finale, obviously the timing is not right. I feel like the timing's not gonna be right for him, so he's probably still gonna be getting
Yeah.
rehabilitated to full strength. So it might be a while, but
Well, I mean,
of course, yeah,
no, I'll say like yeah, obviously Quiones is the big question mark. The Axel kid there from Honduras, the one everybody seems to be
XNR.
kind
So
of,
yeah,
yeah, the one that everybody seems to be kind of hyped about is there is another possibility as well. And like I said, I mean, just man, man, I just I leave you in it, man. He's not it.
so yeah, and I was going to bring up XNR because there's a firm belief that they believe in Exxon, and we're gonna be seeing him in the first team pretty soon.
Yeah.
And of course, without Enali being in the picture, that that opens the door for him to just being available, and in these conditions, trying to play around Aliyu. Because I feel like Aliyu is still gonna be like favorite heading it like for the starting position, but with Quinones back, with Exonarsu back, he's gonna have a lot of work to do when it comes to keeping that starting role, because they're not afraid of going 1v1 against defenders,
Hmm.
and and that's something Aliyu is gonna have to work on, or try to find a
Yeah.
solution, because
Yeah. I mean,
that's the thing that he's been missing all this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's one of those things where, like, Ben Olsen, he didn't really have any other options. It's one of those things where, like I said, I think Inali was on the cusp of taking over as our starting left winger. Hadn't he messed up his ACL? He was getting comfortable. Every game that you saw him come in, he was progressing. He was progressing, progressing, and progressing. Like, you saw the skill set, you saw the speed, you saw the technical ability, you saw the soccer IQ. And then when he finally scored for LAFC, it was just like the whole, man, we got one here. And then for it to be like, we got it, and then it was taken away from us just that quickly. So it was an unfortunate event. But like I said, I mean, if he does return next season, Aliyu, you know, obviously he has the leg up because he's obviously the starter and he understands what Ben Olsen is kind of wanting from him. But I mean, at the same time, Olsen needs to open up the game a little bit more and has to understand that he has to get more contribution from that position as well. I understand, and the fact, it doesn't help that he was our leading goal scorer with 6 goals. But if you tell me he scored 6 goals, I'm telling you, man, I can't remember one or two of them. I can't even remember the 6 goals, to be
Right.
honest. So I mean, like, it's that kind of contribution where, like, it went missing. So
Yeah, man. And I'm so looking forward to the offseason because there's
sure.
gonna be a lot of questions answered, and of course, a lot of people are gonna be looking at the designated player issue or just a situation that's gonna be coming over. But Mark, thank you so much for sticking over. Fortunately, she wasn't able to make it. Apparently, like he was having some technical issues, but yeah, man, I do appreciate your time, man. Just for
No,
everyone that's watching or hearing, where can they find you on like social media and all that?
nah. Well, like I said, I appreciate you guys for the invite. I haven't done this in a while. I know a lot of you guys remember me from my time with Generation Orange, but yeah, my socials. I'm really just on Twitter at Segovia, Segovia. Um, you know, basically heavily Dynamo based, sports based on my feed. So if you want to come and chat with me about anything, go ahead and hit me up on there. But other than that, like I said, the surge, guys, surge is growing. Please come join us. Take a look at us.
Yep.
If you're interested in joining a supporter group, that's a little bit more, chill, calm, whatever this and that, and it's really a good time. Really a good time. I know new membership will be starting next year, January. So just keep a lookout on that. Follow the Surge SG on socials as well. And but yeah, other than that, thank you, Andres, for the invite. Eric, hopefully next time I get to see him and shout him out as well. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, and Mark, as Mark just said, the Surge. Shout out to the Surge, man. They've been around for a couple of years now, and they people working behind the scenes to make all the tifos to make the game the experience better. Of course, the tailgates, all the events they set up with the memberships and all that. It's 100% worth it. So you're able to commit, and I highly recommend considering being a member because it's so much worth it, guys. But you gotta be there to experience that and believe it. So yeah, guys. Mark, thanks again for joining us, man. And we're gonna be jumping on to our dash segment, so check it out. Alrighty, guys. So we are back to record the dash segment here on Tuesday night. Nothing else happening right now on that the most important thing to talk about, which is the Houston Dash off season. Man, the first thing I wanted to say is we did have a pretty good discussion in the stadium post game, but unfortunately, due to technical issues, we had to go ahead and re-record this. But OSG, man, I want to get your thoughts first because it's been a tough season for the Dash.
Yeah. We're not even going to talk about the season, man. We'll just get into the damn game and just get it over with. And you get to the stadium, you're hopeful, but you're hopeful you can stop Bay from making the playoffs, which I think Bay would have still made the playoffs anyways. But you didn't want to finish in last. A loss clinches last place, a tie clinches last place. So it was a must-win game, and it is what it is. And then, you see the lineup and you're like, all right, well, but, there's some people missing. Obviously, Tarsian was missing. Bachman didn't play at all. Didn't even warm up. Honestly, I don't even know what she was there for. So curious about
Yeah.
that. But, there's you don't have much options, but they're playing a 4-4-1-1 is what they're playing with Yuki being the cam and Barb, playing that right forward position. And you letting Ryan Gary swarm on the left side, trying to use her speed, and then Avery Patterson, the beast of all beasts, playing on the right side, and of course you have Punham and Schmidt playing in the middle, holding down the middle. So I like the way it if they could just execute. Defensive line could have been a little bit better this time, but hey, it is what it is. So that was my expectations going into the game. I was hoping that we could come out with a win.
And the players, like you said, I was more surprised at the fact that Bachman was on the bench, but she really didn't seem like she was going to play at all because she was just staying on bench, especially when the players formed up and all that.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jane Campbell too. Like I didn't expect her to play that much, but she was just like in bench as well. But yeah, if you want to take some silver linings out of this game, is the fact that Barb got her 4th consecutive goal contribution.
Well,
Man,
before you get to that far,
all right.
Yeah, before you even get that far, I didn't cue you to anything, so just get ready to cue some media here. But we started the game off early, and you don't know what to expect and get into this game, and then Bay's the one who ends up scoring first. So if you want to cue media on goal, let's check out that clip because I want to talk about that play as how we defended that play as well, which was crap. It was a free kick to begin with. So, y'all, those of you that are watching the video will get to see it. Audio, you'll get to hear it. But this was what made it 1-0 Bay FC.
Off her right foot, and it's in. Bay takes the lead.
I was standing right in
off
front
a set
of
piece.
all of you, just being in the press box. You are standing in front of that side of the field.
Look at that.
And it was Paige Nielsen too.
Yeah, and obviously she's not shooting; she's trying to clear the ball. So it's just unfortunate. But you see that there's a missed header that comes to Paige, and Paige is just trying to clear it, and unfortunately it hits her foot a little bit wrong, and it goes straight into the goal, man. But what were you saying right there about when the clip is playing?
No, yeah, I just wanted to say that, of course, us being in the media press box, we're pretty much sitting right in front of that specific side of the field. And whenever goals happen, usually you get to see like a pretty good angle. And it was disappointing because it looked like it was about to be a clearance, but unfortunately, the ball just got ahead of Paige Nielsen, and it was an own goal. So it's unfortunate. Paige Nielsen has been playing very well, considering the circumstances. So, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it is unfortunate, and that was in the 10th minute, and you're like, oh, geez, man. Come on, Dash, you're at home. There's 8,100 fans here. It's a good turnout. They actually opened up the upper bowl for some fans. And, fan appreciation night. Diesel was running around having a good time. 10 minutes in, we give up a friggin' own goal and put ourselves behind already. And you're like, Jesus Christ. Look, this is what the game's going to be. But 4 minutes later, as you were preluding to earlier, your girl Barb, let's see that jersey. And there's also another media clip.
So did that
Barb
Portland
right
game.
here.
Chicago, of course, in the postseason, and the Thorns as well. And that North Carolina game, Olivieri in the box, shoots, and she scores.
I like.
Yeah, I got ahead of myself, but
we're level.
Yeah. And the way she plays, boom, right there.
Olivieri is playing as one of those two higher players in this system for Risky Park. And it's very fluid. It starts as a 4-4-2, but this is why they play her in this position is because she likes to make this button hook run from inside out. I do think this is going to get called back. It looked like she was slightly offside there. But Houston utilized Olivieri coming from this. Nielsen said
It looked like it was offsides when it happened, Lively. But when you go back and you saw that little second replay that they showed, that she turned and made a sharper angled run because she knew she was about to be offsides. And when she made that adjustment, then the ball was played and she was able to take off still. And it was the advantage. And I like that role that she's playing. And I don't call her a striker, but I call her like a right forward. She does play up, but she kind of plays down. She's playing in between a striker and a cam, and she's playing on that right side. And she's just the way she dribbles off the ball and on the ball. She's got some pace behind her. She's dangerous. She can shoot from anywhere. I like it. So I'm curious as to, once we get a coach coming in, how we're going to use her next year. She's very impressive, and she's kind of I've been enjoying watching her grow towards the end of this season right here as much as she's grown. She's becoming a dangerous player.
And honestly, most of the happiness was in that pocket of time. Barbara Olivieri getting her 4th goal of the year, which was pretty fun. But of course, if you were watching the game, you noticed immediately that Rachel Kunandanji was going to be a menace against the dash.
Jeez.
Well,
I saved you a clip for her too as well, because I want to talk about the way we defended on this one as well.
Of course. Definitely. It's
on the outswinger, Dahlkemper the target, Kundananji, yes! Rachel Kundananji gives Bay the lead again.
So, off the corner, obviously. Watch Jalissa Harris. Whoops, I missed.
Like Rachel Kundananji has been waiting for this type of goal all
and then
power.
Header Hins.
It comes up, she controls it with her body, and as it drops, she lets it drop to the right
space. You can leave her out for a second.
Where then she can just go actually inside of the foot, use a bigger surface area of her foot to get more control, and roofs it over the head of Hins. That's a great angle. Good.
Man, Hins should have had that. It came too fast. She didn't, and she tried to pop it over. I don't think she got a good enough push on it, and that's how it ended up in the back of the net. So what a shot from her! But the dash players that were defending missed the friggin' header, so it dropped to her feet, and then boom, puts Hins at that position, and then Hins can't make the save. So unfortunate, man, unfortunate. Bad defense. Keeper could have made the save.
Oh yeah, and there's more to show too, but I guess the goal that started our hopeful comeback, or because we started losing in the first half, and it kind of looked like, okay, Houston, the Dash might do the same thing as always, and not really put just into the game and all that. But man, if we can talk about that Avery Patterson goal, we can. I'm excited.
Player of the year for me, man. Newcomer of the year, whatever. Offensive player of the year. I know you got Barb and what she does, but geez, Avery Patterson has just been a beast every freaking game. Gets her jersey dirty, just balls out, and she's going to be something special. So I'm going to be interested to see how we use her next year. Obviously, she's a winger, so let's make sure that she's still that starting position. Whatever formation we go.
Just the way it happened, especially at the start of the second half.
We're underway here in the second half, and Patterson already making some moves into the final third, taking on Savvy King. Shoots! Avery Patterson scores! Well, that's how you open a half if you're Houston.
Far post, man.
That was friggin' beautiful. She's been trying to do that all season, and then finally, thank God, the last game she gets her first goal, and she's been trying to make that move and take those shots, and it was perfect finally. So happy for her to get her friggin' goal. I know she's happy, and I bet she slept well.
And Avery Patterson, I was just gonna say that she's definitely, if we were to make season awards, which I don't think will be appropriate for how the year went, there's still a lot of players that improved over the course of the year, and players that could definitely prove to be useful for the rebuild in 2025. Avery Patterson easily one of them, and it gave me a lot of flashes when it comes to Amanda West and Kiki Van Zanten that unfortunately we lost early in the year. But I'm just hopeful for those type of players, like the type of players, so like the young blood that's going to be injecting energy into the team heading to next year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do have a nice core to build off of, and some young players that are in that core, and so like we said, it'll just be up to that GM and what type of head coach that we decide to hire and how we want to play and what's the best decision for the team. I think the team needs to not decide on what kind of style they want to play with. They need to decide on which coach best fits the mold for their business model and trying to improve this team in the situation with the players that they have. So what best fits? So these coaches coming into interviews that are looking to get this job need to sell me on the core that's currently here and what am I going to use? How am I going to come in and utilize this team? You can see the defense is set and the defense is pretty strong. Katie Lynn's going to return next year. You have Katie Lynn and Tarsian probably in the middle as long as Katie Lynn is just fit and prepared as I expect her to be coming off of her pregnancy. You have Paige Nielsen. You have Jacobs. Man, it's Jalissa Harris will be a reserve, a backup, but can come in and pick up some time. So defense is set. Sophie Smith's going to return. Puntingham's still here. You got Elle Rubinson still here. You've got Bachman supposedly is going to return. Ordonez, Oliveri, Andres. You still have a friggin' lot of players, man. And then the young ones that you named already too. So there's pretty much a good roster. So we're just going to have to pick and choose with the roster spots that are open with what we're going to bring in here. And, Jessica said it with herself, with her own words. She's got a lot of work to do. And I'm glad she said it because, I was just joking around with her and asked her what she's doing this off season. Are you going to go to Disneyland? And she looked straight at me and says, no, we have a lot of work to do. So, I was just messing around with her, just kind of seeing what she said. She gave the great answer and says no. And we're sitting right there and we go, well, we'll definitely be paying attention very closely. And she goes, oh, I know you will. So she understands. Absolutely. I think she understands the situation she's in and that it's her hot seat right now. So, we look forward to what she's going to do and what they're going to pull off, man. Knock off that GM. Like I said, that deadline is here. The last game has been played. Today is Tuesday, the technical day. I asked for some information to come out, so now I'm just going to be asking every day, what we going to do? Who's our GM? How are we narrowing it down to the finalist?
It better be pen on paper at this point because we're going to need some more information as to how the season is going to be approached. And the one thing I also wanted to highlight from this game was post-game itself because you can definitely see, especially with the players, before they were even signing autographs and doing obviously engaging with the fans for the last game of the year, they were in a circle talking to each other. And during that circle, that moment where the players are connecting in a pretty tough situation, Jane Campbell's addressing all the fans in the stadium. And for me, she understands the situation. For me, she makes it clear, like, guys, we do appreciate you so much, and we understand that this is not what you guys want, and just makes it clear that they're gonna be still working, and of course they're gonna do it because they're the players that represent this team. But a lot of tough decisions ahead when it comes to who's gonna be staying here, who's leaving, and who's gonna be brought over the offseason. And like you said before, a lot of work for Jessica O'Neill. A lot of work for Paolo Piñones Arce if they want to prove to stay here. If they care enough, they gotta show their work for it. And Ted Segal as well. Ted Segal is gonna be making those calls to, like, hey, who's gonna get fired now? Because it's unacceptable. The second worst season in Dash history, and in terms of record, they ended the season with 16 losses, 5 draws and 5 wins. Unacceptable. And of course, NWSL wooden spoon, not ideal. So a lot of work, and we talked a little bit more about that a couple months ago, or like a month ago, when it comes to what the approach is. And man, we're the prime opportunity for a soft reset, and we just gotta see a new face for the team because it's about time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a choice. So, like you said, it's about time. GM, coach. I think we need to not be so aggressive on the attacking style that we brought in with Fran Alonso. I like the 4-4-2, the 4-4-2 diamond, or something like that in that manner. I would like for us to go out and find a striker a versatile striker that is just going to be able to use pace. And, you've seen so much pace in the NWSL and how it works, but someone that can dribble as well and create their own space as well. So we need somebody like that, kind of like Oliveri does. So somebody, a type of player like that, just that we can bring in and add to this, and then just add a couple other pieces to build in here and there. We can bring us another CDM, because you do have Puttingham, but Smith's getting a little running out of time here, so you got to change that oil pretty often. So there's some pieces that we can bring in and improve, and then they could rotate properly, or they could earn that starting job. I'm not saying Smith deserves to lose her starting position, but she plays with her heart and her badge every friggin' game, and so I like to feed another piece in there to kind of mix with Puttingham as well, and have those three rotate and just be the source of the security right before the defense and starting the offense, getting us that ball wide and pushing to those forwards, man. So yeah, a lot of work to do, and I think probably our next show we're gonna go. Actually, it'll be our next couple of shows, because we'll do it with Dynamo and Dash as well. But we're gonna look at the roster, look at the contracts, who's expired, who has signed their extension, who has options left, what decisions, and where do we think that the team is going to make. And then, obviously, as the offseason rolls on, you'll start hearing updates, and we'll give you updates. But we're going to run through the roster, and we'll kind of give you an idea what next season roster is going to look like as of right now, with the way the contracts look and the way the contracts are ending. And we'll project if someone's going to get that option accepted or not, or they're going to be offered a new contract and stayed. A lot of people have been offered already, so I don't know if there's any more offering to do, but curious. But, I'm going to be looking forward to this offseason and paying very close attention.
For the teams, well, Dynamo and Dash are in offseason mode now, but as always, we're going to be covering everything all at once, every step of the way. Because there's, of course, the Dash. The Dynamo don't need a reset like they did a couple of years ago, but there definitely going to be some big changes going on. And the Dash, I feel like it's going to be a reset, and we're definitely going to keep you guys on the know.
It's
the
going to be a
timing of the episodes,
soft reset, like you said, because we have players, we have a lot of players. So it's the GM and the coach reset and the culture reset. So the players are there, the culture can be established pretty easily. You just need a coach that's likable and brings culture to the team and brings that fundamental aspect to the team. And then, the GM just making the correct move. So we just got to keep going in that direction. But like you said, it's a soft reset. So don't have to push so many players out like the Dynamo did whenever they did a hard reset, and I'm glad they did, and it's working out. We just got to continue with it. So Dash need to find some pieces, some front office pieces. Dynamo need to just kind of do a couple little kinks here and there, and we'll talk about that as well. And I think what we're going to do, we're going to break the episodes in half, because they're probably going to get a little bit long. So we're not going to give you one long episode of talking about the Dash and their projected roster for next year, and the Dynamo and their projected roster. So we'll break it down for you and let you listen to one or the other, or both, hopefully, and make it easier for you, so you're not forced to listen to a 2-hour episode probably.
Of course. No, yeah. We're definitely going to take a break for the hour-long episode since the season's over. And the timing of the episodes might definitely change just because of the off-season, depending on the news cycle and all that. But yeah, like OSG just said, we'll keep it under 30 minutes, but we never know.
We're not going to tell you anything about a time limit, because we don't know what's going to go in the off season. Off season is there's a lot going on in the off season. So and the off season short as well. We're coming back pretty soon where preseason comes. So there will be a lot of news, and we can talk about some of these little things in depth as well, because there are no games currently going on during the off season. So something that happens in addition to a team or a subtraction to a team, we can actually talk about it in a little more depth. So we're going to stick around. We'll be here. We just might miss a weekend and have an episode every 2 weeks or so. It just depends on the news itself. But like we said, short off season, only 2.5 months long. Then teams are doing their preseason and going to Mexico if you're the Dynamo probably, and you dash whatever they're going to do. So we're not going to be gone long, and we'll still be here for you. We'll keep you updated. You're not going to have to search Twitter or watch the Facebook page or wherever you're at, or in the Discord. You'll get the news anyway. So I know that for a fact, but we'll keep you interested. We'll keep you intrigued. We're not going to let you go nowhere.
Yeah. Okay, guys, and just before we close the episode, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank every single person that has been listening to our episodes, watching our episodes, sharing our content over the course of the year. We've been posting episodes since early February, man. Well, late February. Early February too for the offseason, like back then. So we've been working. It felt like a lifetime, man, just passed. And it's just because we love doing it. We love our passion for our teams that we cover. And it just goes to show, like, you guys driving us, man, like all the support that you've been giving us, it means a lot to us. And the growth has been pretty slow but steady. And that's why we've been up here. Of course, seeing you guys during game days, meeting new faces, just being on those types of events, especially everyone with Foxtrot TV, it means a lot to us. So we thank you guys so much for doing that over this year, and of course, we're not stopping for 2025.
We're looking for sponsors, y'all, and you were speaking of driving, so segueing to driving, man. This is my third year straight of driving to Houston almost every single friggin' weekend. This year I added every Dash game as well. So the past 2 years it was every Dynamo game. This year it was every Dynamo and Dash home game. Whew. So man, yeah. Well, what a round trip. The year is not over. There's still trips to Houston to be made. So the OSG mileage tracker is still going to go, but it'll be almost time to give y'all an update and let y'all know where those miles are. Did we make it to 10,000? You'll have to stay tuned and find out if we made it to 10,000 miles driven. We had some miles flown as well in there, but they're not there. That's just over 3,000 because we went to DC, but that's it. So those miles count though. OSG mileage tracker,
miles.
right? Yeah, they're miles, right? They still count. So, we had a short trip here to Austin a couple times. 2 games in Austin. We had a dose game in Austin. We made the trip to Dallas. You made quite a few trips to Houston this year. Probably set a record for yourself in a while. I don't know if it's a lifetime record where you met that many games in a season, but it's probably been a while since you've been to that many games. So, hopefully next year we can triple that number and get you to even more. And just we'll just have to continue. And like he said, just follow, support. We like fan interaction, so comment, talk to us about it. There are people that talk to us about the show all the time whenever we're walking in the concourse or just sitting in the media box, David. Yeah, so we like the fan interaction and we like talking about it, and it's fun. It keeps us intrigued and everything interesting.
Yeah, and just one final shout out to Dynamo Fan TV, Dynamo Faithful, Keeping Tabs, Bio City Soccer, and just everyone that has been informing all the fan base when it comes to news, creating their own type of content, because this is something that I mentioned early in the year, that when I started covering the Dynamo, or at least on social media back in 2015, there were only like 2 or 3 platforms like everyone that I just listed, just covering the team on their own passion, on their own time, and it's grown because people believe in the project and people just enjoy watching the other teams, and it's great to see. And it's nothing like competition or anything like that in between all of us, but it's just like the fact that a lot of people care now. It says a lot about the direction where the team is going and where it is right now. So just a shout out to everyone.
Yeah, and Daniel Mejia doing everything that he's doing freaking every single day. Jesus Christ, man, that man's working his butt off. And there's quite a few others, but big shout out to the biggest fan of them all. I went and copped this jersey off of him before he took off.
Webb Tilton.
So, yep, man, big shout out to you, Webb. And enjoy Spain. I hope you get Apple TV over there so you can make sure you're following using Dynamo at all times. And, I'm sure we'll see you back in 26 for the World Cup. So I know you're not going to be gone that long. We'll see you soon for a weekend, and we'll make sure we'll throw you a party, bro. But, yeah, see you next time on the flip side, on the Spanish side.
Guys. Hey, guys. And just one more time, thank you so much. Stay tuned to social media every time we post, because we're going to be updating all off-season long what's going on, and our thoughts as always, guys. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. And as always, Noodle, yo.
Edge is up.